The dust was thick, choking the air and settling like a fine powder on every surface. The small, abandoned mining town of Redemption lay under the brutal sun, its wooden buildings creaking as the wind howled through the empty streets. Even the desert seemed to hold its breath as the scorching heat bore down on the land. Out here, survival was a game of wit and grit, and few played it as well as Sam Harding. Sam had been a cowboy for more years than he cared to remember. He was a man of few words, with a reputation for both his skill with a gun and his ability to handle the toughest of situations. His days were spent riding the vast, unforgiving plains, guiding cattle from one dusty town to another. He'd seen it all: outlaws, stormed betrayal, and he'd come out the other side every time, always looking forward, never back. But today, something was different. Today, he wasn't alone. It had started as just another job. Sam had been hired to escort a wagon of supplies through the wild, rugged lands near the edge of the desert. The woman he was supposed to protect seemed harmless enough. A lady of the city, young, beautiful, and seemingly out of place in the harsh environment of the frontier. Her name was Amelia. Amelia had come to the West with big dreams, wanting to start a new life away from the city's constraints. She was running from something. Sam could tell that, but he never pressed her for the details. In his line of work, it was better not to ask too many questions. But now, with the sun sinking low behind the horizon and the two of them traveling through the canyon, it wasn't the rough terrain or the lack of supplies that had Sam worried. No, it was Amelia herself. She was acting strange, quiet, and distant. Her gaze kept flicking nervously to the brush that lined the trail, as if expecting something or someone to jump out at her. Sam's eyes narrowed. He'd seen enough to know when a person was hiding something, and he was beginning to suspect Amelia was no exception. The moment came without warning. They had stopped by the side of the trail to rest for a moment, Amelia dismounting from a wagon with a sigh of relief. She had been trying to adjust to the long hours on the road, but it was clear that the physical strain of the journey was starting to take its toll on her. Sam had been leaning against his horse, keeping a lookout over the vast desert expanse, when he heard a faint cry. At first, he thought it was just the wind, but then it came again, this time louder, desperate. He turned just in time to see Amelia stumble, clutching her leg. "Amelia?" Sam called out, his voice sharp with concern. She collapsed to the ground, her face contorted in pain. Her hands were pressed tightly against her skirt, and Sam could see her trying to catch her breath, her chest heaving with the effort. "What's wrong?" Sam asked, rushing to her side. Amelia's face twisted with panic. It's nothing. Just something bit me between my legs." Sam's brow furrowed as he knelt beside her, instinctively reaching for his knife. "A snake?" She nodded, her teeth gritting in pain. I didn't see it coming. It's spreading. Please do something." Sam cursed under his breath. He knew the desert well enough to understand the dangers that lurked in its shadows. Poisonous snakes, venomous insects, and countless other hazards. But this was bad. He could see the color draining from her face, her breath shallow and rapid. Without thinking, Sam moved quickly, lifting her skirt to examine the wound. There, just above her thigh, was the unmistakable mark of a snake bite. 2 small puncture wounds, dark and swollen. Sam's heart raced as he realized how quickly the venom was spreading. "Don't just look. Cowboy, something bit me between my legs. Suck out the venom before it spreads." Amelia gasped, her voice laced with fear. Sam's mind raced. He didn't have time to think, only to act. Without a second thought, he did as she asked, moving closer to her leg and placing his lips near the bite. The situation was beyond anything Sam had ever imagined, but he knew he had no choice. If he didn't act fast, Amelia wouldn't survive. His breath was heavy, his hands trembling as he worked. He could feel the tension in the air, the weight of their situation bearing down on him like the desert sun. Amelia whimpered in pain as Sam tried to suck the venom out, the taste of dirt and fear mixing with the salty sweat that dripped from his brow. Her body trembled beneath his touch, but he didn't stop. He couldn't, not when her life hung in the balance. After a long few minutes, Sam pulled back, his face grim. "It's not enough. We need to get you back to town fast." Amelia nodded weakly, her eyes fluttering shut as the venom continued to spread through her body. By the time they made it back to the wagon, Amelia was barely conscious. Sam had tied her to his horse, keeping her as stable as possible while he urged the animal to move faster. But it wasn't enough. The poison had taken hold too quickly. As the hours passed, the darkened sky overhead seemed to match the weight on Sam's chest. The desperation in Amelia's eyes kept haunting him. He knew he was pushing her too hard, but there was no choice. The nearest town was still miles away, and if he didn't get her help soon, she might not make it. Finally, when the sun was setting, Sam spotted the dim outline of the town in the distance. He urged his horse forward, his heart pounding in his chest. Amelia's breathing was shallow, her body limp against his chest. Every moment counted. They arrived at the small, run-down town just as night fell. Sam rushed Amelia into the nearest building, which turned out to be a modest saloon. The few patrons inside stopped their drinking to watch the cowboy, blood-stained and grim-faced, carry the unconscious woman inside. "Doc!" Sam shouted, his voice ragged. "Doc, we need help." A grizzled man, no older than 50, appeared from behind the bar. He was a rough-looking fellow with a thick beard and worn clothes. His eyes narrowed as he took in the situation. Without a word, he motioned for Sam to lay Amelia down on a table. "What happened?" the doc asked, moving quickly to examine her leg. "Snake bite," Sam said, his voice tight. "Poison spreading fast. I tried to suck it out, but it wasn't enough." The doctor didn't waste any time. He went straight to work, cleaning the wound and injecting Amelia with what Sam assumed was some kind of antidote. Sam watched, his fist clenched tightly, his heart still racing. When the doc was done, he stepped back and wiped his hands on a rag. "She'll be all right," he said, his voice rough. "But she needs rest. It'll take a while for the venom to leave her system." Sam let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Amelia was going to make it. He stood by her side, refusing to leave, watching as she slowly started to stir. As the days passed, Sam stayed by Amelia's side. Her condition improved, and soon the color returned to her face. She opened her eyes one morning to find Sam sitting at her bedside, his eyes locked on her with a look that spoke volumes. "You're going to be all right," Sam said softly, his hand gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You're tough." Amelia smiled weakly, her eyes filled with gratitude. "I never thought I'd be in a situation like this. I didn't know what to expect, but I'm glad you were there." Sam didn't know what to say to that. He had never been good with words. But there was something in her gaze that made him feel like he had done the right thing, even when it had been the most difficult choice. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice weak but sincere. "I don't know how I can ever repay you." "You don't owe me anything," Sam replied, his voice steady. "You're safe. That's all that matters." The next few weeks were a blur. Amelia's health returned quickly, but the bond between her and Sam deepened with every passing day. They spent their time in the small saloon, talking, laughing, and sharing their stories. Sam found himself drawn to her in a way he had never felt before. She wasn't just a woman he had saved. She had become something more. And one day, as the sun began to set over the desert, Sam found himself standing at the edge of the saloon, looking out at the endless horizon. Amelia came to join him, standing beside him in the fading light. "You know," she said softly, "I thought I had nothing left, but I feel like I found something here. Something I never thought I'd have." Sam turned to face her, his heart pounding in his chest. "What's that?" She smiled, her eyes sparkling in the twilight. "A reason to stay." Sam's heart skipped a beat, and for the first time in a long time, he felt like maybe, just maybe, he had found the same reason.